Okay, and welcome back. This is Ansel James, and this is my continuation of the installation of Windows 2008 Server. In this instance, I am going to install Active Directory and promote our Windows 2008 Server to a domain controller. Now, what is Active Directory? Active Directory is a database that provides centralized control. It logs all passwords on a dedicated server. It stores group policies, and with everything on Active Directory being an object, services like email would use Active Directory. Your domain controller itself, it runs on Active Directory and it keeps a copy of the Active Directory database in order to do this, and it replicates the changes with other domain controllers, authenticates users, and it determines access across the board. Your domain itself is a logical group that shares the same Active Directory database. So we can see how your Active Directory, your domain controller, and your domain are all tied into one. So firstly, let us start by looking at the networks. What I did was to rename all three servers so that they basically form a little more streamlined than they were previously. But one thing to note, the work group, all of them fall under the same work group. When we go into a server manager, we would see where, just waiting for that to come up. Again, the full computer name is server A. This is for the Windows 2008 server, and it's under the work group. In order to install Active Directory, we must go to the roles. Scroll down. Okay, roles and role summary. Go to add roles. And it's a simple narrative as to what you would require before you actually start the installation. So you click next, and in this instance we're going to install Active Directory Domain Services. In a future tutorial we'll have to install the DNS and the DHCP server, but for now we're going to do the Active Directory Domain Services. Click next. Things to note. Next. You're going to confirm installation after you install the the Active Directory Domain Services role. You use the Active Directory Domain Services installation wizard, that is the DC Promo, to make the server a fully functional domain controller. So you click install. That is very important to note, because after the installation or the initialization is finished, you might just click next and run straight through. Okay, so we're just waiting for this to install. Okay, haven't paused the video and moved forward. We're now at the point where Active Directory Domain Services installation succeeded. At this point, again to note, if you click close, you would not have actually launched the Active Directory Domain Services installation wizard DC Promo. So you must click to launch it. Next. So click next. You can bypass that initial error message that came up, and you have choose a deployment configuration to existing forest, or you're going to create a new domain in a new forest. We don't have an existing forest because we're now actually creating the domain into the new forest. And one would say, well, okay, what is a forest? A forest is a collection of trees, trees being a collection of one or more domain. And as we indicated earlier, a domain Domains are logical groups that share the same Active Directory database. So we're going to create a new domain in a new forest. Next, you're going to name the forest root domain. We're going to name this adj.local. You have an example here, .com, you have .local, .local being the high level domain name. Click next. You have the set forest functional level. The forest functional level stems back from Windows 2000 all the way down. Now this is very important to note. If it is that you're dealing with a large company, you may not be able to identify the various operating systems that are on the network. So it's best to set it at the lowest moving forward. In this instance is I'm running on Windows 2008, but I have a virtual machine Windows 2007. So I'll just leave it at Windows 2000 and click next to be safe. Next, you have the additional domain controller options, the DNS server. So it's going to do the initial configuration for the DNS server, because in order for Active Directory to function, you must have the DNS server. Click next. Do you want to continue? Say yes. Location for database, log files, and sysvol. At this point, if it is that you want to partition your drive, you want to have these separated, say partition A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3. This is where you're going to actually point them to a various partition, but you're going to leave that as is. Click next. And your password now. It says it caps on. This password is extremely important. If you do not recall this password, you're going to be locked out of the system. Don't have to read and spell as to what happens with that. Let's make sure all the passwords are the same. Verify the password. Click next. This is just a review of the selections with the installation of the various configurations. You click next. And your Active Directory Domain Services Installation Wizard. This will take some time. You want to reboot upon completion, because any changes to your network, to your server, you're going to have to reboot anyhow. At this point, I'm going to pause again until the installation is finished. Okay, the server has restarted. Let's log back in. If you notice, it's now your domain name and the administrator password. So your Windows 2008 server is now on the domain adj. Let's log on. Okay, let's go to start. Let's go to network. Right, you have the network discovery is turned off, the network computer and devices are not visible. Click to change, turn on, and here it is. You have server A now moved from the work group to the domain ADJ. Let's look at the other configurations. Network and sharing. Right, you have the network discovery, file sharing, public folder sharing, and your local area connection is at ADJ local. Properties, and the Internet Protocol version 4, the properties, and your IP address 192.168.0.1, the subnet mask, and the DNS server defaulted to the loopback. Let's go to 192.168.0.1. Say OK, close. Let's go back to network. And refresh. That's right. And you have again your server on this work group. Your other two machines that would have been the Windows 2000 and my Windows XP, they're on a different work group, so we don't have a connection. We're gonna have to now make a connection, establish the handshake, and set up the same network location and the work group. So in our next tutorial, we're actually going to connect now the client to our domain server. So for now, that concludes my tutorial.